late 1700s in rural America. Imagine you're a woman. You're unable to go to university, and yet you have such a passion for God's word. You don't just want to understand it and study it in English, but you want to learn how to read the original languages it was written in so you can translate it back to English. Well, Julia Smith did just that. She was the first woman to translate the Bible once, and she did it 5 times from 3 different languages, which is just awesome. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about this woman. So you're going to find out about Julia Smith now. She was born in 1792. She was the fourth of 5 sisters. She lived on an intense curiosity and a fierce determination to learn beyond the educational opportunities of her time. She was in a privileged family and a well-educated family. And so because they were all sisters, she got these opportunities to learn several languages, to study maths and law without going to university. Her father briefly worked as a minister before he became a lawyer and policy writer. And Julia and every member of her family called themselves Christians their entire lives. They believed that Jesus was the only way to be saved, faith in Jesus. And yet once her dad stopped being a minister, their family stopped going to church. And I think this was a real loss for Julia and her family, but also for the church community. A significant turning point came in Julia's life when she was in her 40s. There was a self-appointed, he was a farmer, but he became a self-appointed preacher called William Miller. And he gained a large following because he convinced a lot of people Jesus would return and the world would end in 1843. He took numbers in the Old Testament book of Daniel, and he took numbers and dates and he added them all together, and it was very complicated and convoluted, and convinced about 50,000 people by the end of it. Most people, including Julia's family, actually didn't harvest their crops at the end of 1842, thinking that Jesus would return the next year. The last of Miller's appointed dates that he said Jesus is going to return by this date was October 22nd, 1844. And that day was later called the Great Disappointment because Jesus did not return. And we're aware, world's still going like this. But after that, Julia never wanted to feel like she relied on, not translation, but someone else's interpretation of the Bible.